Coming at you once again for the Story Arts Center, this is The Journal, featuring stories produced by the students of Centennial College. Today, we'll be covering people's passions and pastimes.
On today's show, we'll be delving into the mind of Katarina Sinclair, an Aboriginal artist who will be showing off her skills with the paintbrush.
We also catch up with the local musician, Jube, who'll be taking us through the process of recording your own music and performing live here in this studio. We'll have all this and more here on The Journal.
Be sure to check out our Instagram, Twitter, as well as our YouTube.
I'm Tashawn.
I'm Connor.
And this is The Journal.
Hey, what's the matter?
I've been working on this for hours. It's turning out nothing like I hoped it would.
If painting's not your thing, Katarina Sinclair, an Aboriginal artist from Toronto, has you covered.
Annie, my name is Katarina Sinclair. I am 22 years old. I'm an artist and social entrepreneur based in Toronto and hopeful director of Memegwa Studios and Gallery. So I'm an abstract artist. I do a lot of painting, drawing, that type of thing. For the most part, it's freestyle, sort of India ink fluid paintings. You may have seen like acrylic fluid paintings and the like on the likes on Instagram. So what I do is I take a large sheet of watercolor paper. It's usually a pretty heavy stock, and I will run a path of water along it where I want the inks to flow, and these inks, they're like droppy bottles, so like you'll drip the ink into the water puddles and it'll bloom, and you can kind of maneuver it, but you can't really plan these pieces. There's not a lot of like forethought that goes into them. It's kind of just like a free means of expressing yourself, and it's sort of immediately gratifying, but also you have to kind of be fluid in your attachment to the artwork as well, because it changes so quickly and you can't quite control it, and you have to be okay with like how it looks 1 minute and knowing it'll dry completely differently, and knowing it might run, your colors might run off the page and start making bizarre shapes, and you can't be too mad about it. I also do acrylic painting. Those are sort of more color blending pieces. I think those are more meditations. I do a lot of color blending pieces in both my acrylic and my India ink paintings. It's been really great to see over the past several years that a lot of youth are on the front lines in terms of making the change that they want to see. They are creating those opportunities for other youth, for other communities, through business, through entrepreneurship. It's a really interesting theme that we're sort of seeing a rise of, is like people taking their economic self-reliance into their own hands. I think there's a lot of really interesting things happening in the Native community right now. We're really taking back our power and sort of doing that healing work in ourselves, and we're making space for each other in the work environment to heal and to progress and to live in a good way, and that's sort of what our culture teaches us a lot, is just to walk in a good way.
Oh, wow. I guess Katarina's words of wisdom really did pay off.
And while we're talking about art, did you know it could be expressed in many different ways, such as video games and action figures? Two friends who have known each other for less than a year take us on an 80s nostalgia trip with their store, RetroQuest.
My name is Danny Freya. I'm part owner of RetroQuest, where we sell video games and toys. Basically sell nostalgia. We sell older video games and toys from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We also offer repair services because some of these older consoles need a little bit of work. We also have a gift wrapping service. We put together like baskets with different consoles and games and sell it at a discount. Well, I first met Matt, I was a game collector. A couple of the rare consoles that I do end up owning were all purchased through eBay. But when you purchase a console through eBay, there's always the chance it's not going to work. I've bought like at least 3 or 4 consoles that were listed as working, and when I got them, they didn't work. And I found a listing for an Arcadia and a Leisure Vision. These systems you don't find anywhere. You know what I mean? So I called the guy up, and it turned out to be Matt.
All right, well, first I had to meet Danny. I put an ad out on Craigslist to get rid of my stuff because I was getting tired of the cutthroat way the hobby has turned into. Danny came over, and he bought a lot more than he came over for. And he liked the stuff that I had, and we struck up a friendship there. And then for the next, I don't know, 9 months, 10 months, he's been trying to convince me to start up a store with him. He's got cool stuff, I've got cool stuff, let's put it together, let's make it fun. We hate our jobs. So he finally convinced me, and here we are today.
So I kept asking him, like, let's do this together, right? Because I don't have the time to be here 10 hours a day. And once again, doing this stuff alone is scary, so someone to help out is fantastic. I knew Matt didn't really like his job very much either, so I just kept hounding him. I'm like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And finally he said, let's go, and both quit our jobs and started this. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm a pessimist, so I thought, yeah, this isn't gonna work. But let's try it anyways, because what I was doing wasn't making me happy in the slightest. So why not at least gun for it? Even if I thought it was a 1% chance of success, it's 1% more than having any fun where I was already.
We're actually doing better than I thought we'd be doing. You know what I mean? Because I always heard you expect to make like no money for the first 2 years of a business. We're not making money yet, but we haven't had to really go into the bank as much as I thought I would. So, and it has been way more interesting than my old job.
I thought it would be more difficult. I mean, it's hard work, you keep at it, but because it's fun and it's what you like to do, it doesn't feel like work. And since we've been open for the last 8 months, and every time I say that, it's like, holy crap, it's been 8 months since I've had a job. But it's been great.
And it's weird, like you'll have customers that come and they'll come like once every 2 weeks or once a month, and you kind of get used to it and you're like, oh, I'm going to be seeing Tom pretty soon. And then it's funny is when you collect, you go through periods of where you cool off, you heat up, you'll go through runs where you're going to the shop like 2-3 times a week, and then you won't show up for like 2-3 months. And every time somebody disappears, like, oh, I wonder where, like, as if they're okay, you know what I mean? Because we're not really friends. They come by and you get to know them, you know their name, you know like their collections, and they're cool people, and you talk to them, and then all of a sudden they go away and they're gone for 3 months or whatever, and you're always like, hope everything's all right.
If I can make them shrug, I would. You want to say one?
In about, let's say 3 to 5 years, we want to start thinking about maybe hiring employees so we don't have to be here all the time. It would be to open up another shop. So I would be the head of one and Matt would be the head of the other.
We talked about having a more social, interactive store, like having a cafe or way more systems set up to play, a lounge area. I still kind of want to do that, but that's a whole different licensing issues and things like that. So we'll cut our teeth on this first and see where that leads us. But yeah, I'd like to have some upright arcade cabinets and more people to loiter and not spend money. Yeah, that's the goal. Wait, that's all right.
With us in the studio, we have Christian Bertani, producer of Two Friends, One Store. Welcome, Christian.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. So, how did you stumble upon RetroQuest?
It's a very simple answer, really. I live really close to it. It's like a 15-minute walk.
Nice.
And I have like another friend that lives right around the plaza where it's from. He just called me up and said, "Hey, dude, you have to check out this place like now." So I just got my ass over there. And it was like a godsend, really. It was just like, oh my God, there's that, there's this, there's like Star Wars stuff, some Ninja Turtle stuff, like all things I was into as a kid. And
Being a kid in a candy store.
yeah, basically, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was just, yeah, really pleasure to see.
Nice. Okay. And how does RetroQuest differentiate from other collection-based stores?
Just the vibe of it, really. It's just like when you go to like collection-based stores like downtown, it feels like you just drone, you just pass in, don't really say hi to anybody, unless you know a couple of people here or there, but they're never really there. You just see the stuff they got. You don't like the prices because it's just downtown the way it is, and you just go out and you don't really kind of take anything like experience-wise back.
Mm-hmm. And what keeps you coming back to RetroQuest time and time again?
Just the vibe, just like it's a really like community-based place. Like you go in, you say hi to Matt or Danny, depending on what time you go in, and like yeah, like you just like any other customer that walks in, like you just start having a conversation with them about what they're getting, how they got into it, such and such. So yeah, everyone has like it's like going to like your like friend's place or something. It's just that comfortable.
Awesome. I get a real sense of community on there. That's interesting. I'll definitely have to check it out.
Yeah,
Thank you for
for sure.
speaking to us, Christian. All right, back to you, Connor.
All right, guys, here's a scenario for you. You're telling a great joke. You got your audience hooked, but you flop and end up losing them before getting to the punchline. Sound familiar? If so, you want to pay close attention to this next doc featuring stand-up comedian Che Dorena.
I'm a comedian. I'm a stand-up comic. I've been doing stand-up for like 4.5 years. It's gonna be 5 years in the summer. I was living in Mexico. Started doing stand-up there about a year before I moved to Toronto.
Guys, I was a scuba diving instructor and bartender in Mexico. I was right in Cancun. And there's something about scuba diving instructing and bartending in Cancun that just gives you chlamydia, guys. It's crazy. It's crazy.
When I first moved, I was homeless for like the first 6 months. I knew that if I didn't like go chase comedy, that I would have just gone back into being like a lazy fucking nobody. Like, okay, I'm gonna force myself to go to Toronto. And all I did was to get money, I sold my diving equipment, got the plane ticket. By the time I got to downtown Toronto, I only had like $25 left. So I had no plan at all. I went to a Starbucks and I Googled Toronto homeless shelter. And when I went there, they're like, sorry, our beds are full. And then this kid showed up who was drunk, and they like a zero tolerance policy on any sort of substance use. Then they're like, oh, a bed just opened up. And that was like, even though I had moved to Toronto, I was homeless, I knew nobody. I was like, oh, things are working out. Like things are fucking good turning up for me.
Oh, how's everybody? Good? Good? Right on. I ate an edible like 40 minutes ago, so we're gonna see how this goes.
I never was worried. I knew I would figure it out. Yeah, these are like my old original notebooks, and my brother gave me this to be like, keep doing stand-up.
Who's that on the picture?
That's my brother.
That's your brother?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. I thought I had lost these. It was like Love Life Condoms or something like that.
Right.
And it was like, Love Life Condoms, that's the exact opposite of what I want out of condoms. I want like Murder Baby condoms. That's what it was. Dad versus Yu-Gi-Oh? I don't even know what the fuck that is.
But you guys know who he is. He's good. Give it up for Che Dorena.
You're on stage, and as much as it seems like it's shit, try to get something out of it. Like, what do you, if you're wasting the time at the mic and the mic's shit, it's double negative, rather than maybe it's negative and positive and you break zero, or you pull something crazy out of it and you get something good out of it.
It was a really shitty open mic. My buddy turns to me, he's like, Che, you can smoke bongs now. And at that moment, I knew I could do anything I set my mind to. And then 10 minutes later, I was like, did I shit my pants? I don't want to shit my pants. I don't want to shit my pants.
This one went good. Yeah, it was like, it was really lightly attended, which is a bummer because that show's always a killer.
but we got a freezing rain warning in Toronto, so just like anything like that screws up comedy, bad weather. But the show was fun. Now we're heading to the underground. People will be like, Mr. President, we don't like your foreign policy. And he'll be like, that's because you're a fat pussy. That's why. That's why you don't like my foreign policy. Mr. President, what do you do about the economy? Fuck your mom. That's what I'm doing with the economy. No further questions. Anyways, guys, I've been cheered right now.
Just don't waste the time. Even though this is a shit mic, don't waste the time. Why would you be upset? Even it's like, it's not perfect. Who gives a shit if it's not perfect? It's never perfect. It's perfect way less than it's shit. And you enjoy it. Enjoy the shit.
Being a comedian sure isn't for the faint of heart. It must take nerves of steel to stand up in front of a crowd and pull off a show like that.
You can say that again. I honestly don't know how he does it. Now it's time to get heavy with Toronto musician Job, as he takes us on a journey through the recording process.
Kensington seems to be the spot that all the artist types gravitate to, or I guess would like to, it seems. But you'll just be walking by what becomes a familiar face, and they're spray painting new graffiti on a wall that's like not there to tarnish it, but they've been like paid to make the place more beautiful. So it keeps you inspired. This was one of those songs that it's like something that happened to me, and it like really, really, really stuck with me. The guitar consumed my life when it first entered it. It just kind of was like this immediate, oh, okay, nothing really matters except for this thing. I wrote it on an instrument that I wouldn't even still to this day really say that I play. It's like I dabble in piano, but I was silly as a kid and I quit. The drummer I was working with at the time was just like, we really need to use that. And so that song stuck around since that period of time. Now I'm trying to be, I guess you could say, a one-man band. Or self-sustained. Been a musician half my life. Started on piano as a kid, quit regrettably, picked up the bass around like 13, transitioned to guitar. I wanted to play drums first, but my dad was right in saying that it was way too loud. The computer becomes an extension of yourself, and it's more like if an artist has a drawing board or has a desk to work on, and be it painting a picture or whatever it is, it's like this is your canvas, and luckily there's a edit undo button, so you got a clean whiteout process, you know? Doing things as an individual has its perks, but it also has its drawbacks. Like, you have so much more work to do.
Whatever you decide to do. Well, I'm telling you, never don't look back. There ain't nothing behind you. Whatever you decide to do, you know you gotta stay true. What else you gonna do now?
Do what makes you feel alive, because if you're not excited about it, then what are you doing?
And now, live from Centennial College, is Jube performing his very own hit single.
is shining down on me. I think I've found my precious way. Whatever you decide to do, don't ever look back behind you. Whatever you decide to do, there ain't nothing behind you. And I'm telling you, yeah, but don't look back. There ain't nothing behind you. Whatever you decide to do. But you've gotta stay true to what you think is right. And that's what makes, well, that's what makes you, you. No one can tell you, oh, just what you've gotta do. But please consider this too. Well, it might be true, whatever you decide to do. Whatever you decide to do. Well, I'm telling you, yeah, but don't look back. There ain't nothing behind you. Whatever you decide to do, you know you gotta stay true. What else you gonna do now? Yeah, but don't look back. There ain't nothing behind you. Whatever you decide to do. But you always gonna wanna know, tell me where. Now where we go wrong, it seems to me like we were meant to be. But now it's time for me to push you down at last. I'ma write you down fast, 'cause that's just the way that it's gotta be. To me, whatever you decide to do, don't ever look back behind you. Whatever you decide to do, well, I'm telling you, yeah, but don't look back. There ain't nothing behind you. Whatever you decide to do, don't look back. Because that's just the way that it's gotta be.
Wow. That was an amazing, energetic performance. Wouldn't you say so, Connor?
And that was a hell of a guitar solo.
Thank you so much, Jube. Well, that about wraps up this week's episode of The Journal. Special thanks to Jube. You can follow him on YouTube and Instagram at JubeTube.
And thank you guys for tuning into The Journal. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And be sure to hit up our YouTube channel. Stay tuned for next week's show where we delve into health and fitness.
See you then.
Jube, I loved it so much, I gotta hear it again. Play us out.
Thank you.